Welcome to Not What I Thought. I'm Erica.
I'm Yolanda.
And I'm Becca. We're therapists, entrepreneurs, and perfectly imperfect humans.
We first met during a business owner retreat where we became fast friends because we're not afraid to be real and ask the hard questions about life. What we thought it would be like, how messy it actually is, and the courage it takes to create the life we want.
We continue to build our friendship and personal growth through our own retreats. We find the deepest connection in sharing our struggles and finding what we have in common rather than what divides us.
We're breaking down hard topics on our podcast and together have conversations about what it takes to find real talk, real support, and real rest for professional women. We're glad you're here. Join us on your favorite podcast platform. Welcome back to Not What I Thought. We're really excited to have Stephanie with us today. Welcome to the podcast, Stephanie. And
Hello.
we're excited to talk about success. And just to jump in with, tell us about your ideas of success and kind of the not what I thought part.
What I thought success was doing all the things, right? Being superwoman, the best mom, the best wife, taking everybody everywhere, right? Being Uber Eats, Uber Taxi, keeping a beautiful home, and just trying to do it all. Corporate life, making money, traveling, cooking, cleaning, everything that really most women define as success. Like the busier we are, the bigger crown we have, right? And I had been doing that for a long time. And I have almost a 15-year-old teenager now. So all along, just keeping the wheels spinning. And that comes with creating some burnout. And that's really what happened to me, doing all the things for everyone and really not taking a step back and figuring out, is this what I want my life to be like? Is this really success? What is the definition of success? And, I mentioned before we started, it really came to me during the pandemic, during COVID, when we were shut down, and it was a horrible period for many, many people. But it was good for me in that it made me realize I didn't have to do all those things to be happy and to bring joy. You really dialed down to what was necessary in life and what really mattered, and just having some peace and slowing down, I think, showed me that what I thought success was really wasn't. It was burnout.
Yeah. Wow. The thought I had while you were talking was like, on that, I was supposed to do all the things. Like, yes, that's so relatable. And also, like, how do we get there? I think partly it's, if we're totally honest, like, there's marketing that goes into convincing us that we need to do more, buy more, whatever. There's, our society runs in large part on women's labor and unpaid, unnoticed labor. But then there's this other just very kind of relatable part about, we notice what other people get recognized for. We notice the women that get praised for always being there and doing the volunteer thing. And my mom, my wife, my sister, whoever is the best because they do XYZ, right? So this is just like part of what's in the soup, kind of that the water we're all swimming in, right? Is that we see this is what other women are doing. And of course, we also want to be valued members of our community. And so it follows pretty logically that we should also do all of the things, right?
We have these expectations of ourselves based upon incorrect perception of what we think expectations are from other people of us. if that makes sense. We and really social media has a lot to do with that. We consume so much of that. Uh, you know, Whether it's online or television or you know um, Instagram, Facebook, all the things that we're trying to be like, oh, we're just not doing enough. That's well, maybe I should be doing that, and well, my bedroom doesn't look like that, or my house isn't that clean, or like you said, I don't volunteer for these things. I don't make homemade cupcakes for my kids school function, just silly things, but all that stuff adds up. Maybe you want to lose a few pounds, or you're not sleeping well, and we just have so much information that we as humans, let alone women, have a hard time deciphering, what we should take and what we should just leave. Like, this isn't for us. And we go through
Mhm.
different seasons and we don't realize how to shift gears into those different seasons on, what is meant for us at that time.
Yeah.
So, how do you see things differently having gone through this experience where you were wearing the big crown, the world shuts down and forces a left turn and all of that? What is your criteria of what you carry now? Because so for I think that happened for a lot of people, and I'm wondering the number of people who, as things kind of got back, people stepped right back into those expectations. They, started adding more things to their plate, expanding their crown. So, what has been your process, Stephanie, in kind of carrying this letting things go forward?
I think the first thing I did was realize how precious my time was. We're always just trying to fill every second of the day. At least I was.
Mhm.
If you're
Mhm.
if you're not doing something all the time, then you're not being productive.
Mhm.
That's how, I measured, did I have a great day? How many things did I check off my list, right?
Mhm.
And during that period, during the pandemic, we couldn't really go anywhere. And it forced me to slow down,
Mhm.
read more, cook more, just spend less time just always being in a hurry, getting to the next thing, check it off, get to the next thing, get to the next thing. I got to spend more quality time with my family
Mhm.
and just simple things. And then as the world slowly started opening up again, I realized what I could let go. What are the things I just took a really hard look, what are the things that I didn't do during that period of time? And what do I not need to continue doing?
Mhm.
Right? Like, it didn't, the world didn't fall apart. My family didn't fall apart. The house didn't burn down, the whole thing. And so I just really took a hard look at what I was doing on a daily basis. And I just started getting rid of some of the filler stuff that didn't really matter. Um, and it really just it gave me clarity, I think, on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to spend my time moving forward when we started to get back into
Mhm.
the regular routines of
Mhm.
of uh, pre-COVID.
And what are some of those specific things that you let go of? I'm curious.
That's a great question. So one
Mhm.
of the things was the time that I spent looking for other things instead of doing things that I used to enjoy. Um, One thing was I took a lot of walks in the
Mhm.
neighborhood and just being outside more. We were just so cooped up in our house. Getting out, we kind of forced ourselves to get out in nature more. And I realized that I wasn't doing that like I used to. I
Mhm.
wasn't getting out and taking my 15-minute walk breaks and walking the dog and walking with my husband and my son. And so I just started spending more time outside. Um, And then I realized that I had really gotten out of a good sleep schedule. Sleep is so important. It's one of my basic pillars of wellness that I teach. I realized, oh my gosh, getting not having to worry about all the things at night and in the morning and getting prepared, your body just kind of gets into a natural rhythm. So I really started to get better sleep. Um, and I started to look at my stress level and why was I not stressed out like I was before? Because I wasn't doing all the things, feeling all the time. So, so I really did. I sat down and I just made a list of things, a typical day, before COVID and a typical day during COVID. And, while a lot of things you can't change. You still, if you have a job, you got to go to work, right? But I realized the job that I had wasn't really matching what I wanted to do anymore. I didn't want to travel as much. I was away from my family. I was always on the road, just hurry, hurry, here. I was missing a lot of things. So I took a hard look at my career and I made some changes there. Um, so I think it forced me to really ask myself, what do I want? And I don't think we do that enough. Sometimes we don't really know what we want. We're doing all the things and we're not really sure, what we should keep and what we should, leave. And so you have to do some work on yourself. And I think that was kind of my self therapy at that time, was trying to figure out, what really brought me joy and what didn't, and, trying to make some changes there.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared on some of the specific things because when you first said it, I was thinking like physical things, objects, or something like a decluttering kind of a thing. But I like looking at what are some habits that I was intentionally bringing in before to try to fill that busyness or like feed. I guess the story I'm telling myself is feed this idea of if I do all these things, I'll be good enough. If I make the cupcakes and I'm the room mom and I'm the this and the that, then I'll be good enough. But kind of going back to basics, and if I spend time with my family and I sleep well and I'm eating well, then I'm already inherently good enough.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And you mentioned, it's almost a decluttering of, yourself, right? Your soul, decluttering of your, changing your mindset and getting rid of some of the things that you thought were true that were no longer serving you. And I'll be honest, I did some decluttering of my house too, my closet, getting rid of some things, and, doing some cleaning that I didn't have time to do. And I just realized too, my house doesn't have to be, clean all of the time. If you have to leave dirty dishes in the sink because you want to go to bed and get 8 hours of sleep, then do it, and do it in the morning. Who cares? I just think we put so much pressure on ourselves to do just even the daily tasks that don't really matter. So I got rid of a lot of that silly mindset that we just kind of make up, in our on our own.
So you talked about the before idea of success being doing it all, wearing the biggest crown, right? What does success look like for you now?
Success for me now is not all the things, all the shiny things, and all the busyness. Success for me now is more about my time freedom and what I get to choose with that time. If I want to fill that time up with things that bring me joy, then I get to make that choice instead of having to feel like I have to do something because A, B, and C, or for everyone else, or because I think someone wants me to do that. So, success now isn't just about, what I can provide for my family and who I am for my family, but it's how I feel about me and the joy and the peace that I have every day. Really, it's about living with more intention,
Mm.
being engaged with what I'm doing and living with intention instead of trying to get to the next thing. So, I kind of mentioned, I made some changes in my career. where get to spend more time at home now. And then I decided to help other women on their journeys in trying to figure out what makes them well. How can we live our best life right now in midlife? You just see so many people that are, they've kind of given up. Oh, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, maybe you're going through perimenopause or maybe you're postmenopausal. We just have so many things going on at this time in our life. I think we feel like, this is kind of the end game. Like if I haven't done it already, then it's probably not going to happen. And I just see so many women that have that attitude. And I'm like, no, your life is really, you're just in a different season. Like I am so much happier now in my 50s than I ever was in my 30s or early 40s. It
Mhm.
is really true. Like you just gain so much wisdom and experience that you figure out what really is important. And so I try to help women figure out what it is they want, whether it is with their career or their health or with relationships. All those things are so important. And then I help them take action with just simple shifts in what they're currently doing. You don't have to add a bunch of things, right? We don't have time to keep adding things. Um, and so it's kind of, been my passion for the last few years. And I really just stumbled upon it just because of the journey that I was going on. And I
Mhm.
realized, well, I'm not the only one, right?
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
feels this way.
Yeah.
I always find it interesting, Stephanie, and I so appreciate your being in this space to help women through this particular season of life, because I am right in that season with you. And I do find it interesting that in so many ways we carry forward kind of a dated thought of like, well, it's all downhill from here. Like
Yeah, I
because it
mean,
has
the saying is what? We're over the hill.
over the
So, like,
hill,
if you're over
right?
the hill,
Yeah.
right, the only place to go is down.
Right. Yeah. 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 And, I can't say that that has personally been my experience. I'm very thankful that it hasn't been. Um, so I am appreciative of um, uh, your role of, helping to empower us through this. We are stronger than we think, all the way around, mentally, physically, emotionally, relationally. We're getting to a point in life where we just don't care as much anymore. We don't we don't care as much about maybe filling those societal roles at least. So yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful journey.
Absolutely. And I think, sometimes we feel like we need permission
Hmm.
to do
Hmm.
things.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and we don't. But I think when you're inside a community that has the same struggles and you see other
Hmm.
women come out on the other side, it helps you feel like, okay, that's my permission. I am
Hmm.
enough. I'm doing enough, and I'm ready to make a change, whatever that change may be. And it may be that you need to do a complete, overhaul. Or it
Hmm.
may just be you need to just tweak a few things that you're currently doing. But I think the first part is making a decision and being like, it's my time now. I've made the decision.
Hmm.
I know that I need to make a change. And now I just need help, taking action on where to start. Because a lot of times,
Hmm.
we know what to do a lot of the times. We have knowledge, information is
Yeah.
abundant, right? Just ask
Yeah.
Chat GPT. But we just, we don't know. It's just hard making that first step.
Hmm.
Um, and just knowing that it's okay to fail. And if we get it wrong the first time, or that's not the right first step,
Hmm.
there's plenty of walking, in front of
Yeah.
you. So,
Yeah.
I just think that it helps when you have somebody that, in a community that can help you kind of get there.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
When you all were talking about over the hill, I was thinking about like bike riding or sledding or something, and like the over the hill part, like that's fun. That's where it gets fun. Go down the hill. Right?
That's
I guess it
true.
depends on what's at the bottom, right?
Yeah, but you can go back up again, have another adventure. Um, but I also love this idea that success is time freedom. It's like being able to choose what matters to me and how I want to spend my time. Um, and I'm thinking about they don't seem very big, but things for me that have like given me some of that time freedom. It's like, oh yeah, I've, maybe decided that I don't actually have to go to all of the parent meetings that I get invited to for my kids' school. Like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, that's not, but I definitely used to carry an identity that like, but I am an involved parent and I want to be an important member of my community. And I know that those things only function when people actually show up to them. So but also like, oh, I don't have to go to all of them, right?
Mhm.
Like maybe I could choose one area where I'm gonna be involved that still feels like values aligned for me, but then let go of I'm just not a parent who does, whatever XYZ kind of other thing. Or
Yeah,
also
it's
giving
about
myself,
setting healthy boundaries,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
We have to be able to say no to some things and not feel guilt for it.
Mhm.
That's where, you got to get to is, we don't have to do all the things. We can say no some of the time, right? And still be okay. It's, we can help out or do things in other ways. We don't have to be on everybody else's schedule.
Mhm.
And that's where we get burnout is trying to do all the things, on somebody else's schedule and not taking into account our own time.
Right.
Definitely, actually, I don't know if you remember, we sent out a form that had like free questions and all that. I think you filled it out a while ago, but you wrote something, and now I'm trying to read my own notes, chicken scratch notes. So I may have not gotten it quite right. But you said something that really struck me, so I wanted to bring that in as well. That you mistook living a comfortable life for happiness,
Mhm.
and so I don't know if you remember writing that or how that right relates to success, but I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, and I had forgotten that I wrote that. So thanks for bringing that up because that does take me back kind of to, what I was talking about when I said, I thought that this was success. You get into your routine, and everything is good, right? So I think that's when we have a hard time maybe making a change because I thought, everything's good. Um, but it wasn't great,
Mhm.
so why do we settle for good? Why do we
Mhm.
settle for being comfortable? So it was me, making that decision on there are some things that I need to change about the good and
Mhm.
get uncomfortable in trying something new.
Mhm.
And if you don't, if you don't get out of your comfort zone, at least, you know, seasons of your life, your right times, then you're never going to know what you might be missing. And you don't want to just have a good life, right? We want to live the best life we can for as long as we can. And I think that was part of the problem is I was comfortable, but I didn't realize that comfort was kind of slowly. It was a slow death for me. It was killing
Mhm.
me just because I really was, just getting so burnt out.
Yeah, I'm glad that you could share that perspective because I think a lot of guests that we have on, or probably some of our old stories or stories that we've shared, it's the not what I thought moment is coming from a place of obvious pain or like overt pain, right? And so I appreciate getting this perspective of like a comfortable life is fine, but it might be like death by a thousand cuts eventually, right? If I'm not willing to push myself a little bit to be uncomfortable, to
Mhm.
explore, and maybe I'll go back to just where I was, but how will I know if that's really what I want if I'm not willing to look at that a little bit differently?
Yeah, it's a great point.
Stephanie, what does your heart know to be true about success or anything we talked about today?
My heart knows to be true that just because we believe it to be so doesn't make it so.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is I always go back to this saying, and a lot of people have said it, so I don't know where it originates, but you know, what other people think of me is none of my business. And I think that if we live by that more of the time, and I'm not talking about going out and being reckless and being unkind and those types of things. But I think we put so much pressure on ourselves because of what we think other people think of us or what other people expect of us. And that's where we get into this vicious cycle of doing all the things for all the people all the time.
Mhm.
So I think, just thinking about, what matters to me and what makes the most sense for me and the people that you love around you, it doesn't really matter all the other things, right? Because when it comes down to it, it's just about you and your close knit, relationships.
Mm.
So in my heart, I know that that is true, that I have to be true to myself and I have to be my best self before I can truly give to all the other people that I've been giving to all this time.
Mm.
Thank you. Yolanda, what does your heart know?
I think what's coming up for me as we're having this conversation is, um, kind of checking in is like the comfort, quote unquote, comfort of my routine, um, coming at the cost of true happiness. I think we can become kind of like the old proverbial, frog in the boiling pot, stick the frog in the pot of room temperature water and turn on the heat, and it's comfortable until the water is boiling and it's dead. So, to just be willing to check in from time to time to see, is it truly, is it, am I truly happy? Is this really working for me? So thanks for that, Stephanie.
I like it.
Yeah.
Erica,
Erica, what is your note?
yeah.
Going to be true.
We're on it together.
Um, my heart knows that Stephanie has inspired me to look forward to going into 40s, 50s. I'm the resident 30s, but not for too long. So I'll get to share more about that, I suppose. But kind of a recurring theme that we've had with guests on podcasts that just inspires me is, yeah, there's no over the hill. There's no, life has to be the pits. It's actually like a very fun start if we go into it with a different mindset. Um, and so slowing down and looking at that feels really exciting instead of dreadful, as I'm sure I'll start hearing jokes about being in your 40s, sooner rather than later.
Get all those targeted ads.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure I'll get those soon. Becca, what is your heart know to be true?
Um, my heart knows that letting go is powerful when something's not
Mm.
working for us or we're dissatisfied, unhappy in some way. Our default tends to be what's missing? What do I need to add? What do I need to put in? And sometimes the what can I let go of is be more impactful or at the very least overlooked and seems just so simple and elegant a solution, right? So there are things that I
Mm.
can just let go of, and I love that. So, thank you so much for being with us today, Stephanie.
Yeah,
It's
thank
been
you.
it's been really
Hmm.
awesome having this little chat.
So tell our listeners where to find you and what you have to offer.
You can find me at alignedandageless.com. That is my website. I am also currently offering just a free wellness snapshot for women who are kind of trying to figure out where to get started. And you can email me at Stephanie at alignedandageless.com to get that snapshot. It's free. And there's all kinds of ways that you can work with me. I do workshops and one-on-one coaching, and I have a wellness online store and all the things, but you can find me there at
Mm.
alignedandageless.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.